All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich Celenza. Thanks for tuning into the Rich Celenza Show. WTF are you talking about? So, what I want to get into today is regarding a trip I took to Alaska. Now, I know a lot of people take cruises and stuff through Alaska. They stop at the ports and all that. I almost went on one of those cruises, but I didn't. But I ended up having a couple years ago the opportunity to go to Alaska for a while, a few days, not a while. I don't know, 3 or 4 days, can't remember. So it wasn't a huge trip by any means, but I flew in, and it's pretty damn far. I'll tell you, like, I live in Florida, so it was like literally going to Europe. It was almost the same length, maybe more with my delays. Can't remember, but it was a long trip. And I think a lot of us think of Alaska kind of like we see in the National Geographic or those type of things, which is how beautiful it is, how stunning, which it is. It's, one of those breathtaking sceneries. And I spend a lot of time in Canada. The two of them are very similar. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, Alaska is just bigger. But some parts of Canada, I'll tell you, or even some parts of the United States, there's some similarities there. But Alaska, at least, I went to Anchorage. So it's not like I went out. I'm not a hunter or a fisherman or anything hardcore like that. I don't do any of that shit outside, not to be an asshole. But I think like most, can't say most, I think like a lot of Americans, if you went to Alaska, you probably would have checked out what I've checked out. And what was amazing was I thought some things were the size of, when you go through the airport, like they show you the animals, like how big a grouper is there, how big the bears are there, like stuff like that. Even though you see them on television or a documentary or something, when you stand next to it, it's like, holy shit. And I'll be honest, it was January, so it was very cold. What was interesting to me was it was snowing pretty consistently, so there's always snow. So when I went to get my car, I said, "Do I need snow tires?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, you do." And I said, "Do I need the tires with the chains on them?" Because I want to drive I'm going to be driving. And they're like, "No, we just got some specialty tires for you that got metal threads in them." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." And they said, "It's just a heads up. It's not always about the size of the car. It's about the tires that will help you out a lot." But in this case, it was, I needed a bigger car to drive through because it was snowing so often. So there's always like this layer of snow, which was amazing. And then when you leave the airport, obviously, it's beautiful sceneries, like I said earlier. Went to my hotel, and I went cruising around. I love the way the road system is set up there. I think it's, if I'm trying to remember, A, B, C, D, like that, and then 1, 2, 3, like numbers. And it's really, I'm pretty sure that was that. I travel so much, sometimes I get things intertwined. But that was really cool there in Alaska. And I was kind of set back because I was in Italy a couple years before that, and Alaska had, like, I feel like I'm in a different, decade. I almost feel like it's 70s or 80s when I was in Alaska. I was going to diners for breakfast. They had newspapers there, and everybody was kind of reading them. Very simple. A lot of them, too, were wearing, like, snowmobile boots. And, I'm sorry, snowmobile suits, right? And out there, I think they call snowmobiles snow machines. I think that's what they call them there. But, yeah, they're all big. A lot of the dudes there are really big. I didn't see many women. Of course, there's women there, but I just didn't see that many of them. Maybe because it was cold in the places I was going to. I ended up going to do some work at a mall there. They're a big mall. I can't even remember the name of it. Very nice people. The mall, again, felt like it was kind of the 80s, which was quite interesting. A lot of things were kind of old school that I loved. And I went to a gym there. I found a gym, a hardcore kind of powerlifting type gym, which I like. Blasting 80s, headbanger or head long hair, or whatever they call them bands. 80s kind of music, the Bon Jovi type music, AC/DC, that stuff, which I loved. When you go in there, you have to take your shoes off in the front, and that's a lot of places in Alaska, in Canada as well. You take your boots or your shoes off, and then you go to the locker room. A lot of them even take off their snowsuits that they wear, or they just have those big pants that these guys wear, because I presume a lot of them do physical labor. I don't know if they're fishermen, construction, whatever the hell. A lot of the dudes in this gym were big and strong, and they were just beasts. I love it. I love the whole environment there. I went there every single day I was there, and I really got a kick out of those guys. I think they got a kick out of me and my funny accent. And they know that I like to lift hardcore weights, but I'm older. I still like deadlifting and getting nuts with everybody, and it was a really kind of quaint gym. It was like the old school 80s gyms that we used to go to. What type of size store? I mean, it was almost like the size of a mall store. Like if you went to I guess, what would it be? 2,000 square feet, maybe? Did they have a sauna there? I can't remember. I can't remember the name. I wish I did. And then I went there a couple times, but there's a Mexican restaurant, of all things, next to there that I would do for lunch. And they had a thing called the Gringo. And it was American-style tacos, and it was delicious. But there was Mexicans that ran it. I'd go in and I'd say, "Can I have a Gringo for the Gringo?" And I just said it once as a joke, and they got a big kick out of it. And then I would call myself the Gringo, so when they'd see me, it's kind of a stupid ongoing thing. So the one thing I did while in Alaska, too, is I said, I want to try their top seafood, their top restaurants. So they recommended me, and I said, I want to try Alaskan king crab. Obviously, I love crab legs. Just had them with my father a couple weeks ago. But I wanted some Alaskan king crab legs from Alaska. And so I went to the top crab leg place, I guess you could call it. They did buffet on one side, then you can order crab legs on the other. I got them. They were good. I wasn't as impressed as I thought I was going to be. They weren't as big. They weren't as sweet. I've had better crab legs, which is quite interesting in the States. Much better, in my opinion. So what was interesting, I said, well, maybe this is a bad day. I got to come back here again for seafood. So I went back another day because they rated it the #1 seafood place. And I went back, had some other seafood. I can't remember. I think I got a platter. It was good. I've had much better. And I don't know if it was just the location, but I also was able to go to another recommended place for seafood or just food in general. And it was like in this log cabin. It was a restaurant, but the inside was all like a log cabin, and it had a fireplace, and it was absolutely gorgeous. Cozy, everybody in there. Again, it's kind of I guess you could say, what I would say the closest that I've been to would be Aspen. And I would say Aspen and Alaska, especially in some parts of Denver, the way they dress and act, pretty similar, really similar. Such nice people. So yeah, that was basically, and then, so what I was doing there, I was creating my program, this Mastering Self-Confidence program. They had a Barnes & Noble's there, which was interesting. So I was bouncing in there along with just kind of cruising around, like I said, and hitting diners and things. But that's basically my Alaska trip. I didn't want to do a huge, long podcast on this, but if you ever do get the opportunity to go to Alaska, I wouldn't recommend going in January. Maybe doing a cruise after I've spent like 4 days cruising around, because a cruise may be the best thing, unless, again, you're a hunter or a fisherman. That would be absolutely stunning. But I think sometimes, visiting Alaska, I don't know. Again, if your desire is to go there, I would 100% go there. But I think sometimes people always talk about wanting to go there. I would recommend the cruise. I'm just saying, I think from a visual standpoint would absolutely be well worth it. I think just spending time there, again, and maybe I'm wrong, I think maybe if you go with people, but there's not, again, take out fishing, like a lot of things, there's not a ton to do there that I saw. And again, maybe the summers are different, but I don't know if you'd want to even be there in the summer because the snow is so beautiful, and that whole, it looks like a winter wonderland. But if you like that winter wonderland feel, I would recommend somewhere like Banff in Canada, Whistler, especially if you like, you can snow ski, obviously, in Alaska, or all those things too. I should snowboarding, whatever. But if you're looking to kind of get away, because I've been to so many places in North America, I would recommend, like I was saying, Banff, Whistler, and we're in, what did I say earlier? What's that, Vail? I can't remember the name, in Denver. That's gorgeous. And what was the other place I mentioned earlier that I thought they were very common? It'll jump in my head. Things just come and go sometimes. But yeah, definitely you got to check it out if you can. But I think the cruise is the best way. Oh, Aspen. That was the other place. If you want to go skiing and stuff. And Aspen, here's a little heads up regarding that. Beautiful, quaint town. I forgot the damn bar. If you Google it, it's the oldest bar in Aspen. Everybody hangs out there. So I got to spend some time there. That place is so much smaller than you think it is. Like, it's unbelievable how small that town really is. Be very careful. I think they have the shortest runway, at least in the United States, maybe in the world for all I know, for flying in and out. It's very dangerous, I guess. I never flew in and out. I've driven it. But here's the thing, too. Be very aware. There's a couple different routes you could take, but if you take the scenic route, which is absolutely gorgeous, you got to be very aware of the, if you get caught in a blizzard or a snowstorm, because it is dangerous, and it's very narrow, a lot of the roads going around those mountains. So be very aware. Also, the time of day you go. And yeah, even including, I'll just give you one heads up again regarding like Alaska, or when I go into these places where it's below freezing, make sure you're kind of prepared if your car breaks down or doesn't start. Sometimes I'm prepared, sometimes I'm not, but sometimes you lose service. But if you're going to go visit cold weather climate places, and I know a lot of us may be from Chicago like myself, or Boston, New York, you're like, hey, I can handle it if something goes down. I'm here to tell you, man, you might not be able to handle it. And if your car breaks down or something goes wrong and it's 20, 30 below, like, you don't got a lot of time. And say you don't have service, it's over. I'm going to tell you, I mean, like, it may not be over, but also if you're driving through those type of climates, a lot of times make sure your gas tank is always at least half or full. I've driven in Canada in places where it's like, it'll say next gas station 100 miles. I'll be like, oh, I got over a half a tank. It's cool. Or whatever the case may be. I get there 100 miles, then that gas station's closed. And this is the next one's 80 miles or 120. You're like, what? So be very aware when driving in cold climates. And also, I learned this actually in Jersey. A guy, he had a hammer. And a hammer could be a lifesaver to you, because say you get stuck somewhere on ice and you can't get out in your car, and say there's a blizzard or a snowstorm, if you have a hammer, you can take that hammer and knock that ice out and pull it, and make it so you could get free again, because a lot of people get stuck and literally they die. And I'm not kidding, they freeze to death or something can happen. So if you are going to, again, go to these type of climates, Alaska or whatever, even if you're going just to hunt, fish or whatever, just to make sure you're really overly prepared. I think some people just underestimate the cold, especially at night. I was just in Edmonton, Canada, and I think it was 47 below. I was at the coldest place on the planet for a couple days, and I've been through that before. But when you start to hit certain temperatures, you don't realize, like, my phone, it gets so cold, will start glitching very quickly. And your hands, if it's bare your face, just start to lock up. There's so much, like, I'm bald, so the steam, like if I took a selfie or a videotape myself, you can see the heat coming off my head. It's so cold. And like if you breathe out, it's just like one huge fog, because it's so damn cold. But I think sometimes when people travel to go skiing, snowboarding, those type of things in those climates, if you've done it before, of course you know what to expect. But even, you got to really be prepared for if the bottom falls out, the unexpected. And I just did some videos regarding that life really is all about the unexpected. We're going through this coronavirus thing now, and if you would have told me, that we would have ever gone through something like this, I would have thought it was ridiculous. But be prepared for the unexpected, because I've been in situations traveling in cold weather where I've been locked out of my car, locked out of the place I was supposed to be going into, my phone dying, me not having a battery, my car dying, like all these different types of things. I've had some close calls. And like I was saying earlier, if you get a car, you definitely, if you're going to go in those climates, or a truck, whatever, you want to make sure you have beyond snow tires, even the metal threads, because a lot of times snow tires aren't enough. So anyways, I just thought I would do that. It hit me the other day. I was looking at photos. I'm like, let me do a quick video on this Alaska trip. It was quite interesting. And not that it was a big deal, but I just thought I'd give my 2 cents. And I'm going to wrap it up there. If you get a chance, check out my YouTube channel, Rich Celenza. I do a lot of different videos regarding me traveling all over North America, which included, I don't think I was doing my YouTube videos when I was doing Alaska, which I think it started right after that. Not too far after that. I wish I would have done some there because I hit like 500 cities in a year and a half. Is that how many I hit? Something crazy like that. And after that is when I kind of decided to start doing videos. But I do have a lot of videos throughout North America, a bunch in Canada. I did some in Banff. I didn't do any in Aspen. And I didn't do any in, I think I've done maybe in Denver, but maybe not. But Boulder, Colorado is a really cool place too. If you're younger, the universities over there, that's a cool spot. Um, Newfoundland, there's some really cool spots out there. So Newfoundland, isn't that how they say it? That was a pretty interesting place too. There's so many places that you can visit in North America that are that people I don't think really realize how exceptional they are. I've been fortunate to visit every, I think at this point, major city in North America. All of them Canada, all of them obviously in the United States, including Hawaii. I've even done the Bahamas, and I'll tell you, some of the most beautiful places I've ever been are in Canada. And there's some areas over there that are just gorgeous. It's like stepping back in time a little bit, especially the north side. If you want to go hit just up north, you could just drive up from New York, whatever, if you want to hit Ontario too, or if you want to hit Montreal and those type of places, the French side. It's just very unique. It almost kind of feels like you're in another country, even though you are in another country, but it really feels like you're in, another place, I should say, like almost Europe to a certain degree, because everyone's speaking French and English, but the food, the people, the way some of the architecture is too. So, all right. What else? What did I say? Did I already say I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram? Anyways, that's where I'm at as well. If you could leave a comment, and you can't travel as of right now because we're going to be under quarantine starting tomorrow, but I wish you and your family, to be safe. All right. Take care.